Hey there, this is Erica Merrill, and I'm the founder of Perfect Legal Video. And gosh, we are here on Thanksgiving Eve, working hard and hoping that you guys just need a break and you want to learn a little bit about what to do if you are considering bankruptcy right around the holidays. And I'm thrilled after spending a weekend. Filming videos with attorney Daniela Romera out of Pasadena, California, that she is back today, just a few days later, looking refreshed and ready to go and ready to tell us some of the tips of what we should do. So if you want to talk first, Daniela, first I want to welcome you.
Thanks, Erica. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and I would love to talk to you about, first of all, about credit cards. It was one of the things that you mentioned, and wanted to see, like, can you charge things on your credit cards? Should you? What is your advice?
Well, if you are having problems with bills and debt and you're considering bankruptcy, then you definitely don't want to run up credit cards right before filing a bankruptcy. There's a 90-day look-back period in your debts. And if you've used the credit cards within 90 days of filing bankruptcy, then a creditor can file a lawsuit against you in the bankruptcy, asking that those debts not be discharged. It's called non-dischargeability. And they'd say that you ran up the debts knowing that you were going to file bankruptcy. So that's something you really want to be careful about.
So you really want to appear to, you have to appear as good as possible, follow the rules, and not look like you're really trying to scam the system.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. And also, you don't want to run into the situation where you're filing bankruptcy and then, have certain debts not be discharged.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they could just say, sorry, we're not going to help you out in this particular area. And then you're out of luck. And who knows how much money that could have been that you could have had discharged and help out with your fresh start. You'd have kind of a stale start then if you ran things up and they didn't allow it to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And, you just don't want to look like you're trying to scam the system. That won't look good. You may not get a discharge. You may run into a problem with the U.S. Trustee's office and with your creditors. And, if you're going to file bankruptcy, you want to get the, best possible result.
Absolutely. So another thing, I think when people are going to file for bankruptcy, they panic a little bit and they start thinking, well, who do I owe money? And should I pay these people back with my money before I go ahead and file bankruptcy and my money is no longer my own? Basically they're going to make decisions on what I do with my money as far as, how I'm going to pay back creditors and which ones I may or may not pay back and what time period and all of that. So if you owe your uncle $500 and your mom $5,000 and your sister $2,000, I mean, what should you do?
Yeah, definitely you can't use preference in paying back creditors on unsecured debt. And friends and family members are part of an insider class, and there's a 1-year look back period on that. So you definitely don't want to start using preference in who you're paying back. So if you're going to pay your mom $500 and you're going to pay your sister $500, then you should be paying back your other unsecured creditors the same amount. So those are called preference payments. And the trustee can go after them. Of course, I used $500, but let's say it was $5,000. The trustee in a Chapter 7 case can go after, those friends and family to get the money back.
Ooh, that is a really bad situation to be in and embarrassing. I mean, I guess that the bank is going to look at everyone that you borrowed money from equally, and do they try to pay them all back equally? Is that what
that's the trustee is the one that is the gatekeeper and looks to see, And you're supposed to disclose that on your schedules. You have to disclose who you've paid back in the last 90 days. And everything that you sign is under penalty of perjury. So it's not something you can leave off. So you definitely want to pay everybody back evenly. The trustee in a Chapter 7 is usually not paying anybody off, if possible, unless you're beyond what's called your exemptions. And that's the state law protections that you have for assets that you have. So, hopefully if you're filing a Chapter 7, nobody's getting paid back. You want to get your true fresh start.
Wow. So I guess you won't be going to Thanksgiving. Owing everybody a lot of money. So also the other thing is you might feel like what if you had something special? So I mean, part of the bankruptcy is that you have to disclose all of your assets. And so I mean, hey, it is the holidays. What if somebody gives you something special? What if you have a new boyfriend and they give you diamond earrings or something? And maybe, I mean, there was even something on your list here where that totally surprised me. It's like, you're going to go visit your mom in Tennessee, like I do, and all of a sudden those airline tickets are an asset. What do you have to say about this? And are there any other surprising assets that people don't even think about?
Well, yeah, you do have to disclose all of your assets. It doesn't matter whether you purchased it or whether somebody gave it to you. It's still an asset, and you have to, basically disclose the value, right? And you're going to use the state exemptions to protect those assets. But airline tickets that you have in your possession are assets. And, for instance, so is a security deposit with your landlord. It may not be in your hands at that point, but it is yours. So you have to disclose all of your assets, whether they're in somebody else's possession or whether they're in your possession.
Well, that is a shocking fact as well. If you are, I guess if you have a security deposit for an apartment that maybe you've had for several years and it's just sitting there, I mean, what would they do? Would they make you pay that money back, or?
No, you just have to disclose all your assets and put a value to them. And that's when you're going to use the state court exemptions. We are in federal court, but the federal court defers to the state law as far as the little bubbles of protection that you get for your assets. Another thing is, an anticipated tax refund. We're around the holiday times, and usually people file their taxes early in the year. You have till April. But if you're expecting a tax refund, you have to disclose that, and as an asset. And of course, you'd use the state court exemption to protect that asset, if you can.
That's amazing. So there's a possibility that you can keep those diamond earrings, folks. And I mean, what determines which things you can keep?
Well, the trustee isn't looking to take your assets. They're looking to see whether you can protect the value of all those assets. And if you cannot protect the value of everything and you're beyond the exemptions, then the trustee would be asking for money before they, let's say you're $3,000 beyond the exemptions or you're $5,000 beyond. I once had somebody who had too much money in the bank. So we figured out what the exemptions were. There was, once we filed the bankruptcy, we disclosed those amounts and we gave the trustee a check for what he was beyond the exemptions. If you don't have cash in the bank and you're beyond the exemptions, that's when the trustee would say, okay, well, let's sell something. But that's why you hire an attorney, to be able to figure all of those things out before filing.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm absolutely. If you're going to file bankruptcy and you have a lot of assets and you've never done this before, you're not a bankruptcy attorney yourself, you definitely want to use a professional, because There's a lot at stake. People really build up a lot of their assets over the years. They might have some special things that they were given to even as a child that they don't want to sell and give up. Maybe grandma's wedding ring or something like that. And it might have sentimental value, but it might also have value on the market where the bank may need you to sell something. So that's really good. So what about your automobile? If you own your automobile and like this is how you get to work, are those would that be an example of something that they would keep for you?
Well, the thing is, it depends on whether you own it free and clear, right? And then how much is it worth? You get an automobile exemption, and it depends on the state that you're in. There's also a wild card exemption that you could add to the, car exemption. So let's say your car is worth $10,000 and you get a little bit over $5,000 for, for a car exemption. What you can do then is use the wild card to protect the rest of the equity.
Oh, there's a wild card. Wow.
Yes.
It sounds like we're in Vegas all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Maybe what got you in this position in the first place.
Yeah.
Those are really good tips about the holidays. So when you're buying presents for people, do you have any tips on that if you are about to file but you want to do some Christmas shopping anyway?
Well, you should stay within your limits and use cash that you have. Don't go overboard. Don't start using credit cards to buy gifts because if you're going to file bankruptcy, then you can't afford it. And then there's also the 90-day look-back period. So, you don't want to start running up credit cards within 90 days of filing a bankruptcy, especially if it's for luxuries.
Right. If you can't pay your rent, you shouldn't be buying a ton of Christmas presents at this point. And then not being able to pay back the creditors. So I get that. They're trying to protect the banks too. They're in business and they don't want anyone to be taken advantage of. So it sounds like they're reasonable about some of your assets that are really special and some that you might need to make money. So it's really good.
One other thing is, bonuses are considered income, and so are cash gifts. So a lot of times around the holidays, if you're going to get bonuses and cash gifts, you may want to consider that in, this thing called the means test, because that is considered income, and it could take you over the means to being able to file a Chapter 7. The means test determines whether you can file a Chapter 7 without there being a presumption of fraud. And, if you're over the means, then you're required to use that income to pay back some of your debts.
Wow. Okay. So don't get excited about the Christmas bonus. Chevy Chase is not going to go and kidnap your boss for the bonus. That's like my favorite. Okay, so that's really good. Everyone should be writing this stuff down if you are considering or are in the process of filing for bankruptcy. And if you are in the Pasadena area, definitely call Daniela Romero because she is a fantastic attorney. She knows her stuff inside and out, and she's got a list of things to watch out for. You can really mess up your bankruptcy process if you do the wrong thing, and sometimes it's too late. So don't go into it uninformed is my point. Did we miss anything, do you think? This was a really great topic for this time of year.
Well, one thing I'd say is to be kind to yourself. Holidays are a difficult time if you're in debt and you feel like you're being overwhelmed by, creditor calls and things like that. The holidays are already tough. Don't make it tougher on yourself. Be kind to yourself and, give yourself a break and love yourself a little bit more.
Absolutely. And you just got to keep remembering that this is a small blip in the map of your life, and it's gonna pass, and you're gonna be doing great once you take care of things and get that fresh start that we're able to work on for you here with Daniela Romero. So wow, thank you so much for this today. Really, it was a great time for it, and I wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family and to everyone.
Thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there today. So I will look forward to talking to you next week. I'm sure we're going to have some interesting things to talk about in regards to bankruptcy and the different laws and the different situations that you've run across. So I'll look forward to that, and we'll talk next week.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye now.